the ACFT 3.0. For those of you that don't know, the Army Combat Fitness Test, they had done different implementations over the last 3 years. Here's the funny part. There really isn't a better, and I'm going to be blatantly, completely honest to you. Basically, the whole reason why the ACFT was brought in was because they wanted to create equality across the branches. The only thing that was a metric for testing was based on what your job was, your MOS. All right, so your MOS was based on either black, silver, or gold. So everything was based on MOS. There was no genders that was being judged off of this test compared to what was done at the APFT. Okay, so this is something that the military has been looking at for years, at least the Army. According to the Army official, they are talking about this as a, hey, we have been looking over the past 3 years at data, and this is what we came up with. So let's take a look at what they looked at. Following an in-depth independent review by RAND and a 3-year evaluation period with soldier feedback, the Army announced today the implementation of the revised Army Combat Fitness Test, which begins April 1st. Now, what does this mean for everybody? I know a lot of people are probably wondering, like, okay, well, they changed it. What did they change? Basically, they took out the leg tuck. The leg tuck is completely gone, and they replaced it with the plank. What is a leg tuck? That's a great question.
The leg tuck is the 5th event in the Army Combat Fitness Test.
Not anymore.
Soldiers are graded on the number of successfully completed repetitions. There is no time limit. Soldiers stop when they are unable to continue. Here is a breakdown of the event as it would be conducted during a test. The starting position for the leg tuck is the straight arm hang using the alternating grip with the body perpendicular to the bar. Feet are off the ground and uncrossed to land safely on the ground if he or she drops from the bar. The soldier must return under control to the start position in order for the repetition to count.
So I'm gonna tell you this right now, everybody usually goes way faster than this.
The soldier's body should remain perpendicular to the bar throughout the motion. Body movement or swinging should be controlled to a minimum to replicate actual rope, wall, or rock climbing. Controlled movement improves strength, skill, and safety.
If all of you that are in the military are probably tracking all of this already. For those of you that don't, why is that a big deal? It's because of the data that came out of this shit. The data came out and it said that a total of 48% of active duty enlisted women and 28% of active duty female officers could not pass this test. The ACFT, nearly 60% of enlisted reserve and guard women failed the ACFT, as did 51% of female reserve officers and 43% of female guard officers. So when Congress got this information, they saw this and they said, holy shit, what is going on? You guys said this was going to be an equal test. What happened? ACFT 1.0 got pushed back. They said, we're gonna look at this and we're gonna look at ACFT 2.0. So let's take a look at the leg tuck. For the gold standard minimum, it is 1. For the silver, it is 3, and for the minimum for black, it is 5, the heavy. Now, here's the thing, and I know countless women within the military branches, at least the Army specifically, that have been not only practicing this for the last 2 to 3 years because they knew this was happening, for them to just say, sorry, we're doing the plank now, which is kind of crazy to me. But this is the big one right here. This is the takeaway. That is why it is changing, and that is why it changed. Because even after they had implemented all of these changes, for those of you that know, as soon as this first data came back at the very beginning, the Army and the Congress and everyone in the DoD was scrambling, and they were like, holy shit, this is not good. We need to figure this out. How do we make it better? They, after 3 years of tests and data, they've decided to completely get rid of it. Now, here's the crazy part. This is no longer going to be a combat fitness test. The Army is now saying this test is a general fitness assessment. So the entire reason the whole thing existed at the beginning isn't even there. Now it's completely adopted age and gender norm scoring tables, which is what they said they were going to get rid of. The 2.5-mile walk has been added as an alternate aerobic event for troops with profiles. That would have been myself. I was not able to do the run when we were doing this. I did the row, typically, is what I chose to do. The ACFT will not immediately impact personnel's actions. It is phased implementation deadline ranging from October 1st of this year to April 1st of 2024. Now, why is it 2024? That has to do with more of the National Guard and reservist troops, okay? That is what that has to deal with, which I'll get into, I'm sure, a little bit later. But this is the new standard table that they are going to be utilizing. So you can see male and female have their separate, age has their separate as well. April 1st, 2022 is going to be a diagnostic. October 1st, 2022 is when regular Army and Active Guard Reserve, AGR, so anybody who's actively working as a soldier 24/7, 365, whatever you want to call it, is going to have to start using this as a for-record test on October 1st. By 2023, reserve component soldiers start taking the ACFT for record. and 2024 reserve component soldiers must have a record ACFT by that time. You can see E5 and E6 promotion points by April 1st, 2023 for regular Army. My problem across the board with it is the fact that they were going for a genderless, ageless, based upon your MOS combat test, because combat does not show, it has no bias. Exactly. Distinction is a good way of putting it too. Yeah. They don't care about if you are male, if you are female, what age you are. So that was the goal of the combat test. Now here's the issue I have with all of this is that you spent 3 years, how much money? I was having to proctor this test for pre-command lieutenant colonels. I was in charge of the deadlift section, and we had lieutenant colonels that could not pass even the minimum for our MOS. So I'm sure that data came out of it as well. Now I understand the reason to get a combat fitness test. The Marine Corps has one. The Marine Corps has a great CFT. If you've never taken it, highly recommend you check it out and take it. I had to take one when I was in training. It requires very minimal equipment and everything is combat related. You have dragging a casualty, another person. You have fireman carry. You have a sprint in your uniform. You just take off the blouse. You have ammo can presses. You know, if you ever have to hand ammo up to somebody who's in a Humvee or a vehicle, all of it is applicable. They have a grenade toss where you throw it in a hoop, you get minus points off your time. They have army crawling, so to speak, for all of you civilians out there, or a high crawl. They have all of that in the Marine CFT, and it's easy to procure all of that equipment to do it. The ACFT takes so much time, so much equipment, and all this money just for units to have all of this stuff. And I get that they finally have a phased out area for it. The unit I was in finally was getting their stuff and getting their equipment for it. So this is my issue, is that we've been getting preached on for the last 3 years. I mean, I'm not in anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But my point is, I was getting preached about this for 3 years of saying how important it is that we have this test. And then all of a sudden, they're throwing out the 3 main things that they were saying were important. And they're just saying 3 hours for just your platoon to do it. That's insane. After all of this is said and done, it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what we do. The Army is going to carry on with what it wants to do. But I feel bad for all of the soldiers that were struggling with a leg tuck that were practicing for the last 3 years. And then they had no prep up for this. And it's just, hey, you guys are doing this now, even though it was an alternate event originally. So where does this lead us? End of the day, doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be a big complaint across the board. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks from service members posting about it, kind of complaining. I get it. It sucks. I think is the most frustrating thing, is no surprise to anybody. It's the military preaching something, saying, this is great, this is awesome, this is what we got to do. These are the 3 reasons why this is important and why we're doing the ACFT. And then they take those 3 reasons and completely throw them out the door, and everyone's supposed to just say, oh yeah, dude, I totally understand that now. Now they're going to be preaching, well, actually, you know what? It's better that we have gendered, that we have age-based and not MOS-based requirements for the ACFT now. And you're going to have all these senior leaders that are going to be up there preaching in front of everybody saying, oh, this is important. This is really big. This is why this is important, blah, blah, blah. When you've been being preached and briefed at for the last 3 years, how the complete opposite was important. So that's my issue with it. And unfortunately, that's just what people are going to have to roll with. So it is what it is.